Truly, the bright spot in my study of the female species has been my wife, Maria Roller, or her maiden name is Cartwright. Truly, really decent person. Good team player, works hard. We made a great team because I specialized in all the technical. She pretty much did all the kitchen, housework, whatever. It was just, didn't even ask me. It was just something that she naturally did. I naturally did my thing, and together we produced a team that never hardly argued. I'm guessing we argued 15 times in 15 years, one time a year maybe. It was a very low confrontation and get along type of teamsmanship that we had formed. Unfortunately, when I started, when nobody would hire me anymore, she wasn't quite. I don't know, it was just me staying at home and her working. It didn't seem to quite fit her style. And that's not really it, because I think it was. If you see some of the other links, I'm under the impression fertile ladies can't be with me, and I think God was just pushing her away from me after a while. And that really is too bad, because my kids are gone now. One second. Maria was in the hospital about 8 times due to a sort of a form of asthma attack. Started when I was in college, and it seemed like the stresses of life. I was no longer making the income, and I was going through school, and she was letting things stress her out. Next thing you know, she's in the hospital for an asthma attack, and she never had asthma before this. And by the way, she doesn't have it now. She only had it while we were together. And it just seemed like stress in our lives somehow produced that, even though we had a pretty good marriage. But when this did occur, I started analyzing it. I said, maybe the stress that we're having is not a good setup, and maybe you should find somebody else. I even told her this. I said, maybe you can look around, and I even was trying to find somebody for her that could take care of her. But she didn't want to go. It was kind of like one of these, but despite not going, she kept going to these hospital visits, and like I said, it was 7 or 8 times, and it got to be monotonous after a while, especially we're on medical coverage, but it was just getting to be hefty bills, and it's just a pain in the butt just to understand that this was occurring. That stress in our lives is causing, she can't handle whatever the normal stress of daily life. It turns out that I realized in '99 when I was being followed, when I was the Truman Show, that and this harem wants me. I found all the ladies that came to me, all the ladies that were wanting me, and it turns out they were all from college. A lot of them were from college. And so what I realized is that I had this wish gene. So what the wish was they want me to be with them. In order for that to happen, Maria needs to die or go away. So this is what was happening on the weird level, was that it wasn't so much stress of life was causing her to get asthma attacks. It was other ladies wanted to be with me, and that hope instilled a side effect in which she would get asthma attack, and she nearly died 1 or 2 times. It was pretty severe. A couple of times in Burnsville, I think. One second. The irony to the women wanting me is that no one wants me after I'm divorced. Now that I'm single, now no one wants me. Isn't that? I just love this show that God is producing for me. Maria is one of the most honest ladies I've ever met. Very wholesome, very caring, nurturing, the best mother in the world. didn't even need any shots of Novocaine or whatever during the child labor process. She just sticks it out, tough woman, and like I said, our life seemed to get better when the children showed up. As far as those sicknesses that were occurring, although she did have another asthma attack when after her first child, but it's sort of tapering off. And it seemed to be almost those asthma attacks almost seemed to be related to the attention I was giving her, or the lack of attention. But it's still kind of a mystery because she doesn't have it anymore now that we're divorced. It really was a pain in the butt when that was occurring. If you look at the 3M link, there was quite a time there. We had a failed business. Actually, Maria had a business that I was helping, and it failed in part because she was acting so she was an honest business person, so honest she told a partner that how little money we were making, and then they bailed out. And I almost left her down in Florida and moved up to Minnesota by myself because of that. Unfortunately, Maria's just an honest person, and we got by that. We got through that. But with the 3M thing and all the hassles, bankruptcy, everything was going awry around that time. We've had a couple skirmish. Of the 15 times that we've argued, 2 of them have been sort of physical, where I would grab at her, I think I'd grab at her throat or something, and then she would reach up and claw me and put claw marks down my face. So that was always a wonderful time going to work after a moment like that. So she always got the better end of the deal whenever we had a cat fight. So I make it sound like there wasn't that much stress, and yet I give an indication that there was somehow a lot of stress in our life. And there was. It just seemed like the overall package, it was just a wonderful team, and it seemed calm. But it was we were riding quite a ride in there of stress, I guess, with her going into the hospitals, the asthma attacks, and just the job failures I was having. I guess it was some stress, and I guess for having as little conflict as we had, it really is an amazing thing. To actually, kudos for her, because she really complained about things. She usually took care of everything that if there was ever a problem in the house, she took care of it. Unless it was technical, then I took care of it. It was just it could have been a lot worse of a relationship, just due to the ride that we're on. And bend them over, you'll find out that I've been bent over pretty hard, and I'm going to talk a little bit about down there in Florida and the ride that we were on. But when we had our first kid, well, I had a waterbed, and she wasn't liking that so much. When we had our first kid, she always slept with the kids. So I could probably mark it on 5 times in the next, when we first had a kid, to about the next 5-6 years, about 5 times she slept in my bed. So it was that was sort of the beginning of the end for us in some aspect of the bonding shit that can occur. She was my best friend, and then the kids showed up, and then now they were her best friend, and I guess that's just how it works. But she probably should have stayed in bed with me through those years. She just loves the kids that much, and it was sort of like I said, the beginning of the end, when you sort of don't have that huggy thing going on. You're just sleeping by yourself. All the loser things I talk about on the viewpoint of women, she did not exhibit. I was finding this out while married for a while from some of the activities, from some of the harassment, the sexual harassments or something that was going on. I was just finding out that I was starting to get a glimpse of women being losers, and I luckily Maria was buffering all that, and I was not. It was just what I had at home was far different than what I was seeing out in the world, And they got divorced, and then I really saw what was going on the world there. And I think you can only find a woman like Maria outside of the U.S. You have to import them, because she grew up on a remote island in the Bahamas called Long Island, and they barely had running water when I first met her. I think electricity, maybe a little TV. It was like almost like Gilligan's Island. Very interesting if you haven't ever experienced that, to check that out, a place like that. Yeah, it seemed she just was I guess when you don't have much, you don't take for granted all the things you have. And although she did, like, we had AC, she seemed like she always had to have the damn AC on. This comes from a lady that grows up in very hot Bahamas. She seems to can't bear heat when she's up in Minnesota here. So I did find that she seemed to take things for granted. After a while, it's like she expects, you know, I don't know, to have to be cool up in Minnesota. It says a lot. I don't know. And then they want to go back down to the Bahamas after we get divorced. I don't know. Maria doesn't cheat. She's honest. She doesn't play those stupid games that women like to have the attention whenever they're somewhere. She was just happy that she had my attention, and I was happy to give it to her, and it was a good teamsmanship, a good relationship, and I think y'all would envy it in some aspect, especially if you're going out, if you're married to some of the ladies that I've met since my divorce. But even still, a divorce can occur, and again, like I said before, I think there was a fertility issue in which she's fertile, and I cannot be with a fertile woman. I believe that's the end goal to why we had to get broken up, because we got divorced, and the kids said, so how long, we're a month after the divorce, and the kids were going, so how long you guys been married? So the kids didn't even know that we were divorced. It was almost a divorce where she filed it. She said she's not in love with me anymore, filed it, and like 2 days before the hearing, she said she wants to cancel it, and I just thought, you know, you're such a butthead. I suspected she tried to poison me. I just didn't realize that was the norm in my show. I shouldn't take that too personally. And then she's just such a butthead. 1 second. And she was doing some butthead things. There was a gag that was going on in which I was playing some SPD email joke, in which if I got laid, that would kill me. And so, almost 2 days after, we hadn't had sex in like a year. After 2 days after I sent that off to somebody, the word got back to her. Well, anyways, coincidentally, she wanted to have sex, and this is you know, a few months into the divorce. So, and then I just resented that. I was like, you gotta be kidding me! You're trying to kill me? I don't even know if she saw that. I don't even know if that was just a weird coincidence. You see, it's so weird. It's just so weird that she wanted to be sexual into the divorce, and yet that could have stopped the divorce. In some aspects, we got divorced at the hearing, and I said, well, maybe we'll get married tomorrow, you know, and remarried tomorrow. And it turns out that she just had a problem with a neighbor, and neighbor kid bothering ours, and I just wanted to anyways, I wanted to file a restraining order on this kid, and the judge said no. And anyways, we had a problem. Anyways, she's getting fed up, and she said, I want to go back home. And I didn't put any restriction on in the divorce settlement where she could be living, or I should have made it so that the kids got to be within like 4 hours of me so that I could see them occasionally. So unfortunately, she took off with the kids, and I don't get to see them anymore, and I didn't realize just how much I'd miss them and how important they were to me. But despite that, they're very good kids for being apart now 4 or 5 years. They're very very good kids, and they really don't act like they're missing a father. Because I guess for 6 weeks of the year, I get them for 6 weeks of the year, so and I guess that's enough to keep them happy. They pretty happy kids. I gotta say, man, we have produced some damn good kids, and if any ladies out there want damn good kids, you just let me know, man. I got some sperm for you. Although if you're fertile, I don't know if I can give it to you, but we'll conduct a test, something like that. One thing I will say about Maria is this I don't care attitude which I see that everybody possesses these days. In my show, it's the I don't give a crap attitude. It is basically that which she takes the kids away and doesn't even really care that I don't get to see them. And despite being what I can perceive to be as a good person that she is, she pretty much gets the Idiot of the Year award for taking her kids away from a very important person like me. So it really is too bad, because we're still amiable. We're pretty amiable, friendly like, but it is simply the fact that she just has to live down there, and I sort of can't live down there, and she sort of has this I don't care attitude about the fact that I can't see the kid, about my not being able to see the kids, and yet if the roles were reversed, she'd be yaping up a lawyer in a matter of seconds. So it's kind of a split personality there, of a two-way street. From I don't care because I'm the guy on the receiving end, to she would tremendously care if she was on the receiving end.